Pride and Prejudice is a novel written by Jane Austen in the year 1813. It is a romantic novel. The novel is set in rural England in the early 19th century. Characters in this novel: Elizabeth Bennet. She is a protagonist known for her wit, intelligence, and independent spirit. Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy. He is a wealthy and reserved gentleman who initially appears haughty but later proves to be honorable and caring. Jane Bennet, Elizabeth's elder sister, she is known for her beauty and kindness, who falls in love with Mr. Bingley. Charles Bingley, Darcy's a wealthy friend who becomes romantically involved with Jane Bennet. Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, Elizabeth's parents, whose contrasting personalities provide both comic relief and critical commentary on marriage and parenting. Let's see the story. The novel opens in the Bennet household, where Mr. and Mrs. Bennet live with their 5 daughters: Jane, Elizabeth, Mary, Catherine, and Lydia. Mrs. Bennet is keen to see her daughters married off well. A wealthy young man, Mr. Charles Bingley, rents the nearby estate of Netherfield Park. He arrives with his sisters and his even richer friend, Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy. At a local ball, Mr. Bingley is immediately taken with Jane Bennet, the eldest daughter. Mr. Darcy, however, is perceived as proud and aloof, refusing to dance with Elizabeth. Jane and Bingley develop a mutual attraction. Elizabeth meets Mr. Wickham, a charming military officer who shares a negative history with Mr. Darcy. Wickham claims Darcy wronged him, which increases Elizabeth's dislike for Darcy. Mr. Collins, a pompous clergyman and the Bennet girl's cousin, visits the Bennet family. He proposes to Elizabeth, but she rejects him. He quickly turns his attentions to Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's friend, who accepts his proposal for financial security. While visiting Charlotte and Mr. Collins, Elizabeth encounters Darcy again. He unexpectedly proposes marriage, admitting he loves her despite her lower social standing. However, he also insults her family and admits to separating Jane and Bingley. Elizabeth rejects him, accusing him of ruining Jane's happiness and wronging Wickham. The next day, Darcy gives Elizabeth a letter explaining his actions. He separated Jane and Bingley because he didn't believe Jane loved Bingley. He also reveals that Wickham tried to elope with his sister for her fortune. Elizabeth starts to see Darcy in a different light. Elizabeth visits Darcy's estate Pemberley with her aunt and uncle. They learn about Darcy's kindness from his housekeeper. Darcy is unexpectedly there and is gracious to Elizabeth and her relatives, altering her opinion of him further. News arrives that Lydia has run off with Wickham. The Bennet family fears disgrace as Wickham has no intention of marrying her. Darcy secretly finds them and ensures they marry, preserving the Bennet's family's reputation. Bingley returns and proposes to Jane, who accepts. Darcy proposes again to Elizabeth, this time with genuine humility and love. Elizabeth accepts, realizing she loves him and that he has changed for the better. The novel ends with the marriage of Jane to Bingley and Elizabeth to Darcy. The couples live happily, and Elizabeth and Darcy's union signifies the triumph of love and mutual respect over pride and prejudice.